So a pearl of wisdom is a pearl that is part of a string that makes up a beautiful necklace. Each pearl is has the ability to make the world a world that works for everyone. And the 108 pearls together basically means one way or another, we are actually living in a world that is, you know, working and can work for everyone. A nugget of wisdom is a very deep dive insight into something very specific that is of personal interest to us humans. And that's really what I do in a nugget of wisdom. It's not doesn't have the ability to make this world as a world that works for everyone, but it certainly has everything that is required for each person engaging with it to transform their world. So today's a nugget of wisdom focuses on purpose. We give a lot of focus on purpose. So I'm going to take it from here, Dea, and start the session. But Thank you so much for standing in and hosting. And Catherine will join us when she's back from her shoot.
And thank you for having me. So enjoy.
And Dea is someone who's known me well before I went on my spiritual awakening journey.
Yeah.
So she's known the before and the after both.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. We have so many stories to tell.
Yes.
Indeed.
So everything I talk about my before life, Dea has experienced and seen it.
People are like, really? I can't believe Mynoo was like that before? I can't believe it.
Including my long hair now, you know, which never grew before. They were just like short here.
Mynoo's from bald to long to short. In between.
Great. Thank you, Dea. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to mute everyone so that the recording is good. Purpose. The 7 ways to find, to live, and leverage your purpose. That's what this particular nugget of wisdom is about. So the first one is something that some of you who've done deeper work with me have heard me say this, which is that, you know, there's such a quest to find our purpose in life. And there is only one purpose to life. It is the same for every life on this planet. For every life, human life, you know, Dea's shared the presence of her wonderful dogs. And, you know, any life, trees, there is just only one purpose to life. And the purpose of life is to come alive. So for that, it's really important to understand what is life. Life really is a state where an organism is breathing. And that breath could be in the form that we breathe or trees in the way they perform their breath. But it is a state. And in that state, you could be just in the state of breathing in and out. And nothing else may occur. And that in itself may be something that you are, that makes you come alive. And it'll make you come alive when you feel in that state of breathing in and out, you are fully present. You don't have to be in the action of doing, you know? When life is a state where an organism is breathing, the fact that you have life, it's time to utilize that and fulfill on the purpose of you having this life. And the purpose is to come alive. This is a planet of free choice. How and what it is that makes you come alive is different. And it is a function of your choosing. So it is a matter of your choice, a choice that you make for you. Even if you choose to give over that choice to something else or someone else, to an external circumstance or to an external project or to another person, whatever it is that you choose to give over, the reason for making the choice, the bottom line is you are making that choice even for yourself, giving over your power to something else. For me, this was such a huge, it was like a watershed moment to realize this, that the only purpose to life is to come alive. And what makes me alive in one moment or at one particular stage in my life is quite different than what could make me feel alive in another instant. I was so convinced, by the way. I mean, in the time, the day I knew me, this is before I went on my spiritual awakening journeys. I was pleased with, and I would often express my gratitude for the intellect that I had and the ability of converting an idea into a business of any kind. And it felt pretty good. And that meant that I had to keep my mind super busy all the time. So this whole concept of meditation and stuff was something that I could only relate to as something I was forced to do as a child. When I was growing up, our mom used to insist that 10 minutes before we left for school every morning, we had to just sit there with our eyes closed. 10 minutes in the life of a child that's just wanting to go was crazy. And I was often like, winking or doing something or the other. And I do recall several times a week having an argument with my mom about such a waste of time. I could have done this and I could have done that and stuff. I even attempted not finishing that last bit of homework so that I could skip the meditation time because my mind was to be so busy. So that was definitely not an access point for me to feel I was feeling alive until it was. And I could have 15 days of just sitting around doing nothing, in this monastery in Perth, Australia, by myself in a 93-acre estate, just simply being, feeling totally and utterly alive. It was such a wonderful experience, actually. I felt like I'd entered kindergarten, where I was excited to go to school every day. And this was the school of aliveness. So what if, and this is the thing, this school of aliveness is alive for all of us until the time you stop breathing. So throughout that you have your life, you are in this wonderful school of aliveness, which is a school that keeps you in that creative space. Because you can create how you wish to come alive. So in terms of purpose, finding your purpose, you've got it. You've got it. It is to come alive. And then you just take it from there. Get creative. And you can literally play with it. Like right now, I'm playing with it, right? Playing with aliveness. Here I am in Dubai. I have this great home to myself. And not that it matters, but I've just created the game. My son and his family and my 2 grandbabies are going to arrive at the end of October. And I'm going to be able to ride a bicycle. I'm going to be able to swim before they come. And yesterday, with one of our wonderful Beyond meditators, I'm going to start singing. And I've just got, I think, the best teachers in each one of those areas. I used to be terrified of the water, terrified. Like I just had given my power away to a belief that this is something that has happened in the past life. I must have drowned or something. Well, maybe, I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I don't have to give my power away to that. I would just love it to teach my little grandbaby to swim. So it makes me come alive. Just the thought of, you know, going into the pool. I still, and I've got this amazing Russian teacher who is meticulous about the form. So I'm learning the perfect way to swim. And she's really made it like a ballet, like a dance, and I'm into dance. I often think about you, Dea, and she's the dancing queen. You know, in our friend circle, Dea was the dancing queen, and she still is. And it feels like in a dance. I could never imagine relaxing into the water enough to even think that it's a dance. It was a survival, a battle for survival. And I have had moments where I've just gone into a complete panic and taken me 2 or 3 swimming lessons to recover from that panic and get back into that elegance in my swimming. And cycling was phenomenal. The last time I rode a bike was when I was 14 and I had a massive crash. And that was it, didn't go back on it. So I went back on it. I'm 60, I'll be 61 in next week. I went back on the bike, and I'll share a video on the WhatsApp. And actually, I thought the guy my trainer was running next to me. He wasn't. He was on the other side of the park. He said to me, you know, you're carrying this sling bag and it's very heavy. Give me your phone. And I gave him just take it off. It's really heavy. So I gave him the phone thinking he's trying to help me. No, he was actually going to film me. And he did. I'll share that video on WhatsApp. I was like, wow, this is cool. So here's the thing. If you're to live your purpose, and the purpose is to come alive, and come alive is different for different people, and it is of your choosing, you instantly take away the power that you might have given to other things back to you. It just happens instantly. And it happens across your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind, everything. You've got it. Now, when you take your power and you start creating aliveness for yourself, you actually become very present, because that's how you experience aliveness. And that is the way you live your purpose. Now, from within that, you may get clarity on the quality or the impact of your aliveness, in which case you can choose to create that as your gig on the planet. So my gig on the planet is expecting and accepting miracles as the norm for humans and humanity. That's a description that enables me to provide a context for whenever I engage in doing anything that provides a context. Now, if you don't have it, and I did not have this clarity for, several decades in my life, I did have access to coming alive though. So that's the first way to live, to find, live, and leverage your purpose. I mean, the exciting thing for me with this nugget of wisdom is that each way is so rich and it's so enriching. And very engaging too. The second way is one that shows us or takes us into a deeper dive when it comes to aliveness itself. I remember when I first embarked on this journey in 2010, and what I knew was I had a window of 3 weeks that I had taken for myself when I went to Bali to find who am I and what am I to do next. And I landed up in this resort that had nobody else as a guest but me. And this is a busy resort. It doesn't happen that way in Bali. It has never happened before, apparently, and it has never occurred since. But during those 2 or 3 weeks, I was by myself. And okay, the only purpose to life, who am I? Well, I don't know what that means even at that time. I know how to go down and find that, but that time I didn't. I did get access to it. Okay, if life is only an organism that's breathing and the only purpose to life is to come alive, then okay, well, what does it mean to me come alive? And I couldn't think of anything. I kept thinking of me doing this with my son, me doing this with my partner, me having this experience with my sisters. It's like, well, what is it that I want? What is it that I want for me? And I just couldn't get an answer. My mind would go completely blank. And then I said, okay, let me get precise about my questions. Right? In this moment, am I going to feel alive by standing up or sitting down? Am I going to feel alive by listening to music or going for a walk? My mind was blank. There was nothing. Now I understand it wasn't anything odd about me. What I realized was over the years, I thought I was doing a really good job living my life by serving others, serving other agendas, because I thought I needed to. I also saw that the moment we go into, we have to, we need to, we should, we must, with each one, you're just nipping away at those wings that we are born with naturally. And we're depleting that experience of aliveness. And then you get disconnected from what makes you come alive. And you start making the choice that you do in service of, or as a with this in a sort of allowing yourself to command yourself that you have to and you must. Now you can choose to have that be something that makes you come alive, and okay, I'm going to be commanded by this baby when it cries, it wants to be lifted up. I shall allow it to, I'll give the power away to this baby. And it makes me come alive to lift it up when it says, when it starts crying. That's fine. I'm going to finish what I do by 3 p.m. so I can go pick up my grandson from school in Berlin. Because I'm here for a short time, I'm going to make the most of it. And sometimes it was tough to do that. And I was getting into a rushing space, but I was going to do it. And that was, I said, yeah, that I'm creating that for myself, and it's going to make me come alive. It's part of that aliveness regime. So it's totally fine to allow a must-have should to come in of your choosing. When you choose for that to be the case. If you go into the dialogue that I should, I have to, I need to pay the rent, so therefore I'm going to do this, and it doesn't feel that great, you're not actually creating aliveness. But you could say, well, I love this place, I've got to pay rent, I'm going to, and this is what is going to enable me to do that, I'm going to choose it. Not because you feel depleted in making that choice, you come alive. So it is up to you to choose that aliveness. How do you know that you're feeling alive? You know you're feeling alive when you feel you're in flow. How do you know that you're in flow? You feel you're in flow when you have that humming, yummy feeling. you know, my grandbaby crying and I'm in the and screaming outside the door and I'm in the middle of a beyond meditation. Okay, but something's got to be done. So fine, it's okay for me to interrupt and go deal with that. As opposed to, oh my God, I should just not allow that interruption. Can you imagine? That would have literally taken the full half an hour away from all the beyond meditators. You know, screaming matches occurring outside the door. Better to say, okay, I'm just going to go and see if my daughter-in-law requires something. Go deal with it, come back. I'm still in that zone of aliveness. And it's such a brilliant nugget, right? I mean, you know, this whole I have to find my purpose, right? I've been there, becoming very heavy duty about I have to find my purpose. I'm becoming seriously engaged in very, you know, detailed, thorough, very serious, heavy duty workshops to find my purpose, depleting me from coming alive. No, I can't talk to you for the next 5 days because I'm engaged in finding my purpose. Well, that's you'll get something very useful there, but you will actually be disconnected from the purpose for why you have life in the first place. And you're finding something when you're not in flow, when you're not in aliveness. So whatever it is that you find will have a pattern interrupt, stop, start rhythm, because it didn't come from a space of flow. And what you'll find, you know, my background was a corporate background. We ran workshops that enabled you to find your purpose in amidst the purpose of the corporation. We did that all those years ago. Lots of pontification meetings and stuff took place. And people got excited. They did get inspired. You know, a lot of them didn't continue to stay with the organization even, because in doing the work that they were doing, they found something else that made them come alive. And it wasn't something that forced them to conform. I didn't know that this is what I was enabling at the time. I've understood since what being inspired is. Here's the other thing that's really exciting about the second way, right? So aliveness equals flow. And you know that you're in flow when you have that wonderful hum of yumminess. It's not necessarily in your face, but you feel that humming, yummy feeling. So, and that feeling itself, you know, so the moment there's any yuckiness, it's important to keep that yummy, yucky feeling as your finger on the pulse. The moment there is any yuckiness, again, don't get heavy duty serious about it. You know, you just know you're not engaged in something that's making you come alive right now. What can make you come alive? And it may be a show on Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of these OTTs, or it may just be a vista, it may be a collection of photographs. It may be something that you've written at some point or someone else has written. It may just be declaring that I feel this way right now, acknowledging wherever you're at. So really engaging in creating a segment of time, I did that, right? When I got that, okay, if the purpose of life is to come alive, and I mean, you know, what if I just take it on for the purpose of playing the game of aliveness? To me, living my life felt very hard work and very boring, just as a phrase. There wasn't sufficient joy in it. It was fine during my corporate time when I was trained not to smile. So it was fine for those times. It really wasn't fine when I started enjoying my smile. So the game of aliveness felt so much more fun. And I decided, right, I'm going to combine my corporate learnings with how I'm going to go into this space of getting comfortable with not knowing. I hated the statement when somebody says, so what do you want? And they would say, I don't know. And then I hear myself saying this. What do I want? I don't know. Right. I have the first thing to aliveness is like me getting comfortable with, I don't know. The fact that I had to know everything meant that there's a whole collection of things that I could speak about, I could do. I never gave myself the space to be. So the game of aliveness is the one that connected me to the realm of being. It was in the quest of aliveness that I discovered the fun of creating a B list, a set of B words that I'm going to be. It was in the quest of aliveness that I got comfortable with allowing the doing to flow. Oh my God, that was scary before. Doing to flow, oh my goodness. What is that about? How careless is that? And it wasn't. When you choose to be, you create a context and you create a container which already defines the experience you're going to have. And then you allow the doing to flow, it cuts the crap, cuts out the crap by itself. And you literally automatically only choose that which is going to have further accentuate whatever it is that you've chosen to be your B word. If you don't know what that is, read the B book, which is one of my books. It's also available in an audiobook or Kindle or whatever on Amazon. It teaches you how you can operate from the being. And I've taken it even further since I'm well and truly right in the center of business and everything. And everything is literally coexisting in my world. It's a being doing dance. The other thing about aliveness, to experience aliveness, you automatically start engaging with the realm of miracles. And a miracle is where something beautiful occurs that makes your heart sing. And my heart is beating. That is the song of the heart. Even if I'm not feeling in flow, if my heart is beating, it is singing. So, okay, fine. Let me just remain noticing my heart. And that in itself opens the doorway to finding what is it that's making it sing. And aliveness, the doorway to aliveness opens up, regardless of whatever you may be feeling. Very important way that is completely in tune with you building, building on a powerful foundation in the next phase of your life, given that unknown is the known. Uncertainty is certain. Take nothing for granted. It's a modus operandi. What else is there but to create and co-create aliveness? The other piece that I feel is just brilliant about this whole aliveness as the purpose of our life is it connects us to the sameness between us. And many of you who worked with me during my my work on the World Dignity Movement, you may or may not have engaged with this whole concept that I have, which is, what if we celebrated a sameness? Diversity is a given. It just is. What if we started celebrating sameness between us? The separations will literally start to dissolve. People from different parts of the world, different cultures, different genders, different age group, there's so much sameness that we have that we can together celebrate. And all of this is available to everyone and anyone, and it truly does bring you alive. You have a conflict or a breakdown with a loved one. Okay, let's acknowledge that. And let's also take on that we will co-create a solution for this. Before we start on it, let's celebrate what's same about us. And even if in that moment, all you can think of is, well, we have eyes and nose and we breathe and, all of that, that's fine. It just brings you together. And you start to shift from command and control, adult child type dynamic, and you both become co-creators and collaborative co-creators of solutions. And I'm doing a body of work right now and we've had this as one of the pearls of wisdom, resolution. I'm doing this body of work with my business collective, Federation 100, and we are working with resolutions. And I'm really getting each of these leaders of these business to really take on, what if the only solutions you ever engage with were resolutions, solutions coming from resolve? Now, as a business, you have a resolve. As a human, as someone who has life on this planet, there is only one resolve, which is to come alive. So what if your solutions that you're engaged in were resolutions? You're really amassing quite an extensive repertoire of that which makes you come alive. And aliveness equals flow, equals that humming, yummy feeling. How cool is that? As Dea would say, how much better can it get? So the third way. The third way is, it's called, the phrase is purposefully live your life with purpose. Purposefully live your life with purpose. So if the purpose of life is to live it, to come alive, and you are purposefully living your life with purpose, you are experiencing aliveness in the journey of living your life. And you're doing it like really purposefully, aliveness, full of aliveness. And if you are engaging in living your life purposefully, with purpose, that vitality, that exuberance, that joie de vivre, it's infectious. You don't need to do anything about sharing it even. You just have to show up. What if you make that choice and decision now, right now? And when I embarked on my journey of awakenings, I call it as my journey of self-liberation, because it was all about, every time I would go in, I was like becoming very heavy duty and serious about it, because at this point I was going to convert this idea of living an extraordinary life and make it real. I'm going to be this amazing business coach and mentor to myself, except this is about my life. Hello, I was taking away aliveness there from even achieving aliveness. When I decided to just really shed that and started purposefully living my life with purpose, I just saw that aliveness regenerates. And remember, one of the 10 commandments is a shift from sustainable to regenerative. Now, aliveness by itself is a function of creation. In fact, it's even a function of co-creation. In isolation with everything that's around you, you can't create aliveness, really. You can have some great times, and then momentarily it'll feel, alive. But for aliveness to be regenerative, it's a co-creation. So to purposefully live my life with purpose, which is to come alive and do that consciously. I mean, I just really like that. I like that pulse. I like to keep my finger on that pulse. It got me to become an observer of everything, observer of what was there around me, observer of what was going on within me. And that got me to connect with people, as opposed to be my old commandeering, judgmental self, evaluating and judging people. Very black and white person. It got me to be rejoicing in the gray zone. To me, that was like, in my corporate world, it was like, no, we don't do gray. It's a yes or a no. It's a black or a white. That's it. No time for that. And I had no time for aliveness, really. So purposefully live your life on purpose is the way of living your purpose. And when you purposefully live your life with purpose, you already are leveraging opportunities and openings that become available to you. It's like, this purposefully living your life with purpose. It's a little bit like, that hose that you get sometimes, which has such the power hose that removes the grime in between the tiles or stones that you can use when you have this water jet coming out of it. This purposefully living your life with purpose, which is purposefully living your life coming alive, actually is the power hose that removes the grime. And you have this wonderful, pristine, clean connection to your presence. And that's the present you bring forth into the world, and that's the present you give to yourself. The fourth way. The fourth way is ubiquitous, which is, it's found everywhere. So if the purpose of life is to come alive, it is ubiquitous. You can find ways of reasons to come alive everywhere, everywhere. And, I think last time I shared the story of this 102-year-old man who came to my salon in Maui when he was confined to solitary confinement for 36 years. And I asked him, what were the first things you said when you came out 36 years later? And he says, well, I could not do anything. I was just bent over completely. And all I could say was, thank you. And it was thank you with complete exuberance of all that continued to be there around him that enabled him to come alive. I did say I would share his photograph. I have to go onto my Facebook and find it and share it with you all. You'll see, to me, he doesn't look any older than in his early 50s. 102. Ubiquitous. Even in that solitary confinement, there was aliveness. This guy has really enabled so many of us who understand more about I Ching, which is an ancient Chinese philosophy. He made that accessible in those 36 years that he was in there. He literally, broke it up in a way that You didn't have to be a master to be able to work with it. This phenomenal body of work. He didn't have paper or pen or anything to write with. It was all happening through every moment, him experiencing aliveness and allowing his mind and his intuition and his presence in the now to work with this humongous body of work. To me, it was phenomenal to realize this ubiquitous part was huge in terms of aliveness. I had found that even though I lived in London, which is such a lovely place, a town that is so full of parks and phenomenal flowers everywhere. Wherever you walked, you were only, a short distance away from a big park. But I never noticed anything. Had no time to stand and stare or smell the roses, nothing. Roses that somebody sent to me and it's a bouquet, okay, I would admire them for a bit. That was it. This piece about coming alive and knowing that aliveness, the way to do it, how to access it, it is everywhere. I can actually live my life with purpose everywhere. I don't need to create any sense of perfection in my environment. I don't need to be living in a certain home. I don't need to be working in a certain job. I don't need to, have a certain weight. I could feel alive everywhere. It is ubiquitous. So your purpose, your ability to really live your purpose, leverage it, it's ubiquitous. It's there everywhere. Find it. And make even finding it be an act of aliveness. It's your choosing. The fifth way is it's resounding and resourceful. Aliveness has got a resonance to it. And it is literally resounding. You know that for yourself. You're there, you're hanging out in a party, and then suddenly there seems like something's happened there. And it may be the pet has just escaped and come into the party, and there's this, exuberant, unbridled aliveness that's just spread like a wave, or somebody who people say is a life of a party has just come in. But that's what happens to everyone. You don't have to be dressed in a particular way or, have a particular mannerism for you to be the life of the party. You just experience aliveness in your way. It is resounding in terms of how it resonates and impacts people. There was a point where, Dea, you may recall this, when you and I were in Santa Barbara and we were visiting this amazing being of light. And she lived there, and for privacy purposes, I won't give the name, but she's very accomplished. She's got a foundation. She's got a very close connection to Mount Shasta, which is very dear to my heart, and we go there. And she's telling us about, this group of scientists that are studying what she does, because every time she uses the singing bowl or is engaged in a particular discourse, she's connected to certain machines, and they start showing certain readings, and that's how they are studying the vibrational impact of her presence. And whilst we were there, we were sitting and having tea, we were sitting and having lunch, And I thought it was her dog that was licking my licking my toes. It wasn't. She was putting her feet on my toes. She says, "Well, no, the goddess of light has arrived. I've got to, be close to you at all times." She gets this call from the scientist saying, "What is happening? Something very resounding is going on. What's going on? What are you engaged in?" And really, all that was happening was I was totally in my aliveness. So is Dea. Dea always is. And she was so vigilant and alert. And this time she wasn't. She had many of her disciples there, but she didn't need to do anything. She was able to simply be. And she was just touching my toe with her feet just to keep that connection. And this craziness was going on with the machines, many, like hundreds of miles away. That is what happens with aliveness. I can be there thinking, oh, there's something very special about me. There's something very special about you. What is special about me is the same thing that's special about you. We are all magnificent beings in human disguise. We have an equal amount of magnificence. We just do. And that shows up when you're alive. You are in your magnificent realm when you are coming alive. It is resounding and it is resourceful. It literally, you start noticing and seeing things that you may just not even have noticed, let alone thought that they could even contribute to your aliveness. Like Linda, you discovered your oak tree. Rediscovered, it's always there. And it being this amazing giver of aliveness to you, even during the times of these lockdowns that we've gone through. Truly, aliveness is what's resourceful. And aliveness is not something that happens. There's nothing passive about it. It's very active. Truly, it is what I call as, it really brings to life expecting and accepting miracles as the norm. This piece, that there is only one purpose to life, which is to come alive, is something else that reinforces what I talk about, which is life is meant to be easy. Because you can choose to define what aliveness is at any time. And when the moment you choose it, you enter a resourcefulness within you. Literally, entitlement disappears. And validation actually starts to feel quite boring. Validation from someone else starts to feel quite boring. You actually start engaging in validating these amazing things that you have right around you that bring about that resounding aliveness, that are, on tap, available to you. The sixth way these are all about leveraging, right? We are in this realm of leveraging aliveness, leveraging your purpose. The sixth way is opulence. And it's like opulence opening. So when you are choosing to live your life purposefully on purpose, and you become connected to opulence in a way that actually enriches you, in a way that illuminates that which makes you come alive. And what happens there is every step that you take in that space, you are creating more and more and more opening and openness within you. And that releases confusion. That starts to literally create an automatic laser sharp focus. without the heaviness of it. And you even become open to, okay, if this doesn't quite deliver, it's fine. There'll be something else. Attachment starts to automatically disintegrate without going through any form of upset at, I have to cut the umbilical cord or whatever it might be. As a mother, when you give birth, it's you don't want to hold on to that umbilical cord. You're actually quite happy for it to be cut. And that's what happens. We have this umbilical cord attachment to many things. This particular way, for a period of time, this opulence, I used to say, oh, that's vulgar. There's nothing vulgar about opulence if it's going to create openness and bring even more enrichment through my choices of aliveness. Opulence in my world really is a state where there's a complete release of lack. And I can be present, experiencing the giftedness of myself and the giftedness of my fellow beings with whom I share aliveness. Whether or not I know them, doesn't matter. Each of us on our own and all of us together make this planet a planet that is here for us to experience the vibrancy of aliveness. That's opulence. So sure, I can be here in this, the opulence, I would say the opulence mastery land, Dubai. I'll share a photo in the group that we took last night. I have a friend from London visiting. And it's like, wow, diamonds everywhere. Really, it all comes from within us. We may, often there are people who achieve opulence, but they're not connected to it. They're not engaged in aliveness. And you have anxiety, anguish, depression, all sorts of stuff. Allowing yourself to live your life without labels, without judgments, simply engaging in coming alive enriches your life. That's the experience of opulence. And you start becoming more and more open to diverse ways in which people make choices, in which people, in the way that people live their lives. Openness is what's called for. That comes from when there is no feeling of lack. You feel enriched, you feel replenished all the time, and you can share and be of service. Knowing that in doing so, you're also serving yourself because you're coming alive. And there is nothing wrong in coming alive. Sometimes we feel that it's not that good to think about serving ourselves. Well, just come alive, That's the way you can give the greatest service to others, and you serve yourself automatically. The seventh way of finding, living, and leveraging your purpose it's a journey of being surreptitious to eloquent expression of your expansion. This secret that you don't want anyone to know. To actually becoming one that presents to you on a platter an eloquent expression of your expansion. And in that eloquent expression of your expansion, you Share expansiveness with those that you connect with directly or indirectly. And it becomes a wonderful aliveness exchange that automatically multiplies, amplifies. And you become that person that can walk into a room and people say, whoa, what's entered here? So there is no, this way basically says, now that you know the only purpose to life is to come alive, and you're going to live it, and you're going to leverage it, don't keep it a secret. Unless it's a little game that you've created, my little secret of things that make me come alive, that's fine. It's not a secret then, but you don't need to be surreptitious about it. Allow yourself to live that aliveness, and you will automatically enter the realm of an eloquent expression of your expansion. As some of you have heard me say, in my corporate time, I wrote bullet points and I wrote good reports, I wrote business plans, strategies, that sort of stuff. And they were not very verbose. They were like, one or two sentences to the point, move on, move on, move on. And now I'm a prolific writer. Eloquent expression of my expansion. That's the joy of the seventh way, and it just flows. With that, I hand it back to you, Dea, to complete. Thank you all.
Oh my gosh, Mynoo, every word, I felt it. And this whole thing about coming alive, as I'm aging and as we're aging, we can become more and more alive. My 90-year-old mother, I was just thinking about it. She still has that aliveness in her. She's still smiling, even though she's in pain, but she's alive. And there's no time like now to continue on your journey to become more and more alive. So I know what I do to stay alive. I have my things that I love to do, and I just want to continue to do them, But wow, every word, thank you, Mynoo. And I'm sure everyone else feels so nourished by your transmission today.
Thank you. Thank you all. Do share a word in the chat to complete our session. All of these words, the fact that they're happening in cyberspace with so many of us from around the world, they anchor that vibration for all of the world to benefit from. So Dea, you can go ahead and read them.
Okay, I shall. Let's see, where are they?
It'll be in the chat, so go to the chat.
Okay, here we go. Let's see, chat. All right. Come on up. Here we are. David and Helene are saying, let's see, feeling alive and powerful. Thank you for another amazing pearl of wisdom, or nugget of wisdom, I should say. Being alive, Leah says, cheerful expansiveness and joy. Cheryl, totally nourished. Gail, this is part of my aliveness.
Yay. Wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you all. See you on Saturday morning for Beyond Meditation. It's going to be another beautiful one. Thank you so much. Thank you.